All right, welcome back to ABA Exam Review as we continue our RBT practice exam series with another set of questions that we'll go through together. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please subscribe if you have not already. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack and practice exams. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Lucy received a Yeti cup instead of a Stanley cup from her boyfriend for Christmas, so Lucy broke up with him the next day. Now, Lucy's ex boyfriend never gives Yeti cups as a gift. What led to this change in behavior? The behavior change question. What causes change in behavior, and more specifically, future behavior? Well, consequences. We look at consequences as what effect are they having on future behavior. If that behavior is increasing or maintaining, then that consequence is reinforcing. If that behavior is decreasing, then you're either looking at punishment or extinction. So let's identify our consequence. So Lucy received a Yeti cup instead of a Stanley cup from her boyfriend. As a result, Lucy broke up with him the next day. Now, Lucy's ex boyfriend never gives that cup. So did his behavior increase or decrease? Well, it decreased. He gave the Yeti cup. What happened? He got broken up with. As a result, he now never gives the Yeti cup. So the consequence is getting broken up with. What led to the change in behavior? Well, there's got to be some sort of punishment or extinction because the boyfriend's or now the ex boyfriend's behavior decreased. Then we ask ourselves, was something added or taken away? Is it positive or negative? Well, Lucy broke up with him. So she added this breakup scenario and the stimulus of breaking up with the boyfriend. So something was added, making it positive. So what led to that change? A, positive reinforcement. So the breaking up scenario was added, but the behavior was not reinforced because in the future, it decreased. So B, positive punishment, is much more accurate. What about C and D? Well, C and D both have to do with negative, and Lucy breaking up with him, the scenario of breaking up was added, that stimulus was added to the equation, therefore it can't be negative. Additionally, it's not reinforcement, it has to be punishment. So the only options here are B or D, and since it was positive, because it was added, what led to the change of behavior is B, positive punishment. The temperature has dropped in Las Vegas, and there is now snow on the mountains. Over the next 5 days, the low is 32 degrees, 34 degrees, 40 degrees, 38 degrees, and 37 degrees. What is the average low over the next 5 days? Now, you might look at this and say, well, why do we care? What does this have to do with my job as an RBT? Well, as an RBT, you need to do basic averages and basic totals. All you're doing, right, is collecting data, and then we need to analyze that data. And a lot of times, we're going to look at averages to help us analyze that data. So you need to understand how to find the average or the mean of data. If you don't know how, it's totally fine. You need to practice. I have a feeling many of you, or most of you, do. And so if you get asked to find an average, you should consider that a really good thing because that should be a pretty easy question to answer. In this case, what are our data points? We have 32, 34, 40, 38, and 37. So to find the average, we need to add up all those data points. So 32 plus 34 plus 40 plus 38 plus 37, and then divide it by the total number, which is 5, and that's going to give us our average, which will be, if you did it correctly, 36.2 degrees. Very straightforward question, but you need to know how to find the average. If you can do that, then you'll be totally fine. You take an art class during your summer break. The class will teach you how to paint portraits. During the class, the art teacher slowly changes the way you grip the brush, move the brush, and apply the paint to your canvas. What is your art teacher doing relative to your behavior? So we're looking at the art teacher and what she's engaging in relative to our behavior. Well, what do we know so far? We know you're taking this art class, and during that class, what is the art teacher doing? Well, she's slowly changing how you grip the brush, move the brush, and apply the paint. She's slowly changing your behavior. And so when we slowly and sometimes quickly. But when we change behavior in this systematic type of way, what are we often doing? Well, often we are shaping. She's shaping up your behavior. She's going to slowly change how you grip that brush, and then how you move the brush across the canvas, and then how you apply the paint to your canvas. Likely, she's going by approximations of behavior of how you grip and move your brush to apply the paint. Is she B, physical prompting? Well, there's no indication of any sort of prompts at all. The physical prompting and modeling are both out. Nothing about this question implies she's prompting you. What about imitating? Well, the art teacher isn't imitating you. You're the one, if anything was happening relative to your behavior, who would likely be doing the imitation. But we're not talking modeling. We're not talking imitation. We're not talking prompting. What we're likely talking about is shaping, going through approximations of behavior until you get to the final behavior that you want to see. What is the art teacher doing relative to your behavior? Shaping. A behavior technician arrives at their session prepared to begin session. Client's mom tells the technician that the client is not allowed to start session until they are finished with their math homework. What should the technician do? We've got a scenario question, kind of not really an ethical question, but sort of more of a how do you handle yourself as an RBT? What is your role, and what do you do in scenarios where you might need further guidance? Because what do we know? We know the technician arrived and was told the client can't start session until they're finished with their math homework. And so that puts you in a difficult spot. You know, as a technician, you're supposed to get there prepared to start session, right? You're ready for data collection. As soon as you arrive, you begin. But the parent tells you that's not going to happen. So who do you listen to? Do you listen to the parent, or do you do what your supervisor is telling you, which is implement the treatment plan? Begin session anyway and work around the homework assignment. Well, we can't blatantly ignore the mom without further instruction from the supervisor. This is where your supervisor comes into play. B, tell the mom that they cannot delay session for an academic task. That is not your role as a technician. Unless you first reach out to a supervisor and the supervisor tells you to say that, that is not your first reaction. C, contact a supervisor immediately and wait for further instruction. Yes, you're in between here. You have the stakeholder telling you one thing, you have your responsibility as a technician, and now you've got to figure out what to do. So in that case, you need to contact a supervisor immediately and see what they say. And then D, leave session and come back once the math homework is finished. Again, that's not your decision to make. B and D, even A, possible, but we don't know yet. The first step is contact your supervisor immediately and let them tell you what you should do next. Constant, clear, prompt communication is one of the pillars of our task list and our service as technicians. You're sitting with your supervisor as they discuss with the parent a new target challenging behavior that just emerged. The parent says the behavior does sometimes seem to happen for attention and sometimes to gain access to toys, but the behavior also happens whenever the client is by themselves or already has toys and attention. What would you hypothesize is the function? So we have a function question. Our functions are tangible, escape, attention, and automatic or sensory. Automatic and sensory are used interchangeably, as are escape and avoidance. So what do we know so far about the behavior? Well, it's a new behavior, and it happens for sometimes attention, sometimes for tangible, but also when the client is just by themselves, or they have toys and attention. So when the client wants attention, when the client wants toys, when they're alone, or when they don't want anything at all, this behavior is just happening constantly. And so this is a good lesson on functions. If you have a situation where you have a behavior occurring for what seems to be many different reasons, and the behavior happens when the client is all alone with access to everything they want, typically your first thought is automatic. Now, you want to be very careful about that, and you're obviously going to be talking with your supervisor about function, but you want to be very careful about attributing behavior to an automatic function all the time. But in this case, automatic seems likely because the behavior is happening all the time. Whether the client has attention and toys or not, whether they're alone or not, it's just happening constantly. So, tangible, maybe, but it's also happening for attention, but it's also happening when they have tangibles and attention and alone. So, we would hypothesize the function would likely be automatic. Differential reinforcement of alternative and incompatible behaviors is excellent for teaching which of the following. So, our differential reinforcement procedures, specifically alternative and incompatible, are great for teaching. Why? Well, we singled out alternative and incompatible because those actually teach replacements. Or differential reinforcement of other behaviors, that strategy does not teach a replacement. So if we're teaching replacement behaviors and with differential reinforcement, what are we doing? Well, we are reinforcing the target behavior while putting other behaviors on extinction. So can we teach stimulus discrimination this way? Sure. If you have color cards and you have a yellow and a blue color card and you say point to blue, you're going to reinforce for pointing to blue and put pointing to the yellow on extinction. That's going to teach stimulus discrimination. Response differentiation. If you have the same cards and you say grab the blue card and the client points, you'll put that on extinction. They're going to reinforce grabbing the card. That teaches response differentiation. And then functional communication. If you have a snack and the client cries, you're not going to give them the snack, but if they say snack please, you give them the snack. That teaches functional communication. So DRAs and DRIs are both great for teaching all the above. Thank you for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials from ABA Exam Review. Make sure you subscribe, spread the word, work hard, study hard, and we'll see you soon.